Okay, so I'm back to the painting project, and what I've done is just kind of completed that the flower image that I was working on, and let's see, here are my layers, and the only thing that I really haven't finished is doing a background. Um, and I would do something very simplistic here so that it doesn't take away from kind of the flowers that I've created, something very light in the background. And I would probably do a very light gray or even this kind of lightish teal color. I might do that as well. Um, and I just wanted to kind of show you my layers. I would have another layer for the background. My original layer is still in here, so if I turn these off, you can see my original. You can kind of see these are the leaf highlights. These are kind of those highlights within the flower, the stem, kind of the leaf outlines, those flower outlines that are a little darker, and then some flower outlines that are thinner. And originally I had really kind of tried to mimic a lot of these lines that were in here. I mimicked a lot of those, but I really took a lot out because I felt like it was too busy. So like even a couple up here, I might take, a couple of these out just because I was trying to simplify. Less is more. Uh, you don't have to give us everything. Think of it as implied lines. So you don't need to give every little detail. It's more of an implied type of thing. So I'm happy with how this came out. There's lots of variations within here of opacity and as well as size. So as I'm clicking around, I can kind of see that, the opacity and that stroke would be changing. And that's really what I'm looking for. So when you're finished, what you're going to do is obviously we're saving as an AI file, but we are also going to file export as, make sure it's a PNG. This is also where you save a JPEG, so we'll do both. But when you select PNG, you want to make sure you click on use artboard because otherwise the things that are beyond the artboard will also show up. So make sure you're saving it as PNG, use artboard, and export. And you're going to leave this on a high resolution and say OK. Then you're going to go to File, Export, Export As. We're going to change this to a JPEG. Again, use artboard, say export, just leave everything as it is. It should be a high resolution. I'm going to go ahead and go into my project now, and I'm going to look at my PNG, which that's interesting that it came out with the black, so I'm going to go back and do that one again. Here's the JPEG. And it's really important that you look at your files, and this is why, because that is incorrect. So we need to do the PNG file again. So I'm going to open this, File, Export, Export As. We're going to go back to our PNG file, use the artboard, export, and oh, it's because we had a transparent background and we want to make sure it's a white background and say OK, and we're replacing that file. I'm going to go back to that PNG and now I can see that it's correct. So do make sure that you're checking your files to be sure that they're correct. And actually, I think on this one, I asked for a PDF file and a PNG. I'm not sure why I did the JPEG, but File, Save As, Adobe PDF. Go ahead and save that. Save PDF. And just to kind of show you, I can take this PDF file, double click it. It's an Acrobat file. I'm viewing it in Acrobat, but also I can take that PDF, drag it to Illustrator, and it opens with the layers. So I can actually see your layered files. I can see everything in here. Now, if you, let me just get rid of this JPEG because we don't need that. So if these are your files, obviously I don't need that AI file. So what I would do is I would go ahead and just copy this. I'm going to paste, so it's got my inspiration folder, if I had one. So if you did what I did and just used one, then it's in your file and that's fine. So now everything I'm turning in is here. By default, it puts this -01 at the end of your PNG. You can delete that. If you leave it in, I'm not going to deduct points. That's just the default that it does. But this is what I'm looking for: PNG, PDF, and your inspiration folder if you have inspiration. If you don't, I'm just going to find it in that layered file anyway. I'm going to click on this. You right click or go up to File, Compress. And there it is. Now it's a zip folder. That is what you're going to upload to D2L as your final. And don't forget your reflection. The only other thing that I really hadn't mentioned before was, you want to make sure that on your brushes that you're really playing. I double clicked on the brush. Change up the fidelity, because if you want it to be more accurate in how you're drawing and not like smooth out that line and simplify, then make sure that you select this. When I first started doing my flower kind of details, I realized that I was set all the way on smooth, and so it really wasn't giving me exactly where I was clicking, and so I came in here and changed this. So make sure you pay attention to that. The other thing is, make sure you're zooming in close to your artwork when you're really looking at kind of this original image. One of the things that I was doing, I'll just make another layer here. I was really zoomed in pretty close. So if I was going to O2, and I was kind of copying, mimicking some of these, I really was zoomed in pretty close, trying to get some of these areas. And again, I deleted a lot. You could see I'm not really, that one's really too straight. I'm not paying attention. It doesn't have to be exactly what that is. It's a very loose style. I'm not interested in it looking exactly like, your demo file. You're just looking for something that resembles whatever your theme is, and that's really what you're looking for. So there's my kind of final of the flower. If I were to show you kind of a background, I would definitely name this, and I would probably zoom out. I'm going to take a brush here, probably grab one of these like water paint type brushes. I'm selected on black, and I'll leave it a little darker for a minute. I might do something that's kind of like that. And I want some variation in it, so I'm going to go back and do kind of another one, because they kind of lay on top of each other, which can be helpful. I'm going to try and get in those kind of white areas, try and get rid of, anything that's like super stark white. I'm going to select, let's kind of zoom in here. I'm going to go to my presentation mode. And if I were putting this on my wall, I'd probably leave it as a white background. But again, this is just kind of practice for painting. Like you could see, I kind of lost the leaf, kind of leaf area. I'm going to hit escape to get out of there. You could also, like if there's kind of another idea here, delete that. And let me just show all of this again. So I might do something that's just kind of, on the edges a little bit, maybe just to kind of show a little, but really not kind of being intrusive to my kind of flower area. So maybe even something like this. I'd have to zoom out and kind of take a look at what it looks like, but I can do that real quick. But then that way there's a little bit of something in there. I like this side better because it kind of blends. This is a little bit of a harsh line, so I'd go back and fix it. But I really like, you know, this kind of like light, that real light look there. So spend a little bit of time, you know, thinking about your background and what you want that to really look like. Obviously, my kind of topic here is more of these flowers and not the background. And that's perfectly fine. You just can't leave it blank. You got to give me a little something. And if I were to make the changes like I just did, I would need to save the PDF again, save the PNG again, go back and zip that file again, and then upload it. And that is it. I hope this was helpful. Make sure you write your reflections and get your files in.